Hi, welcome to another craft video from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'm Cheryl and I'm in charge of the craft kits at the main library. And today's video is to accompany a craft kit that we'll be giving out at the main library starting June 15th, 2023. But if you're watching this later or you don't have time to come to the library to get a kit, it's easy enough to make this project with things you can buy at the craft store. So what we'll be making today is we're preparing for the 4th of July and the 4th of July parties. So we'll be making these 4th of July fans. They're foldable. They unfold like this. And they fit easily in a purse or a bag. Now they're not the sturdiest. They're good for 1 or 2 uses. They are made out of paper. But it's really easy to make these for any occasion. You just change up whatever paper you want to print out and what designs you want to print out. So what's in the kit, or what you'll need to buy if you don't have a kit, is you'll have 4 large size popsicle sticks. Now these are the kind that are about 6 inches long. You'll have a couple of pieces of a couple different decorations. We have this red, white, and blue border one, and then this red, white, and blue stars. These pieces of paper are about 4 inches long, 4 inches wide, so they're just a couple of inches shorter than the popsicle stick. And there's 2 of them, and these are 16.5 inches long. Now, I was able to print them out on 17-inch paper and just trim off the edges, so that's what I did. If you want to print out your own designs, or if you want to do this for a different holiday altogether, you'll need to print out, probably if you're using regular printer paper, about 3 sheets, because these 2, when they're overlapped, will give about 32 inches long strip. And so if you print this out on 8.5 by 11 paper, you'll need 3 of that length. Okay. So and you'll also have a glue stick. We need a glue stick to hold everything together. All right, in this kit, we'll make both of those fans. So the first thing you're going to do is you're just going to glue these into one long strip. So I'm going to take my glue stick, and you need to overlap them. You don't need to overlap them a whole lot, just maybe 1/2 inch or so. And try and line them up so that it forms a straight line. You don't want to line them up in a V shape or anything, because if it's not straight, when you go to fold it, it's going to be a problem in the long run. And you can do that for both of these. Now, you might need eventually a pair of scissors. It's not absolutely necessary, but depending on how we fold it, if it comes up a little short or a little long, we may need to trim the ends. Okay. So we're going to set aside our glue stick for just a minute, and we're going to work with one of our pieces. Now we're going to fold this up into a little accordion fan, just like a fan, back and forth and back and forth. And the distance you want to do it apart is the width of your popsicle stick. And I usually just fold it up and make a crease so that I know where to start. And you will eventually maybe get a little bigger or a little smaller as you go along, but that's generally what we're trying to stick with, is folds that are about the same width as your popsicle stick. All right, so I'm going to fold that first, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of the sides, and I am going to make sure and line up that paper exactly along that edge. You want to keep it straight as possible so that you don't get your fans going every which way. Because as we're going along down this long piece of paper, any mistakes we make are going to be magnified. So I'm going to do that. Now what I'm going to do, let me get this out of my way here, is that was folded over. Now I'm going to fold it under. And what I'm going to do is find this little spot here where it's about the same width as before. Then I'm going to line up the edge exactly like that and do it. And I'm going to do that back and forth and back and forth, trying to keep my folds the same width and lining up one edge exactly. Now, you might find that you're not exact on the other end, but we're going to try and keep one end as perfect as we can get it. And we're going to go back and forth and just do that over, under, until we get it finished. Okay, so I've got mine all folded and creased nicely, and I was lucky. I ended up with about the right size flap on at the end. See, I got a little bit bigger as I went along, but it pretty much is the right size flap for me to glue it to. If I had ended up with just like a small flap or something like that, that wasn't enough to glue the whole popsicle stick to, in that case I would have gone through and just cut off the last flap that was too skinny. Now, the part that's going to go on the inside, which with this one, it's going to be the white part. That's going to be the inside part of your thing. And that part, we're going to glue all of them together. So you see, that's the decorative look here, and it's going to be the white part here. We're going to glue all of these folds together. And when it comes to this one, and you're doing this one, and you've got it folded up zigzaggy, which one you glue together, what's going to be the inside, is going to depend on whether or not you want red around the outside or you want the blue side around the outside. Whichever side you want on the outside, whichever color you want on the outside, you leave that part alone. The part you want on the inside, that's the part you glue the folds down. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to take the glue stick and we're going to just put it right here in a little pile. And we are going to open up the top little flap, run a little glue there just for about 1/2 inch or so, and lift that up. Glue the next one, lift it up and press it together. Glue the next one, and we're going to continue on. And you could do this if you'd like here. Glue, press, glue, press. We're going to just do that for every single fold. If we didn't do this part, when we opened up the fan, it would just be, the center part would all just come out and I'd just have an accordion instead of a nice round fan. So this is actually a very important step. And now, when we've got one side done, and that's all glued together, now we have to flip it over, and you see one side's glued, the other side's not. We need to glue that side too. So I'm going to just do the exact same thing, still staying on the white part, but it was flipped over this way and I glued it. Now I'm flip it over the other way. And I'm going to do the exact same thing, glue here, so that it's glued on both the front and back. After I do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside usually and just have I usually set this aside and put a book or something on top of it. Since you're only gluing the inside, the outsides here shouldn't have glue on them. But I usually just set this aside and put a stack of books on it to keep it pressed nice and neatly and tidily until it dries. I usually give it like 20 minutes. If you don't want to wait that long, you can skip to the next step and then press the whole thing with a book when you're done. So if this had been dried, what I would then do is I would then crease it a little bit, just kind of go like that, just a little bit on that end, about a ½ inch up, just above where you glued, so that when you fold it, those little areas here have that nice little already bend in them. That's not absolutely necessary, but I find it makes it easier to open. All right, so now we take the part that we glued, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the glue and we are going to glue the popsicle stick below the part we glued. So this is the open part, this is the glued part. We're going to glue the popsicle stick down here on the open part. And give it about half an inch or so. Like that. Then we're going to flip it over and do the exact same thing. Now we're going to, on this part, we're going to try and line up the popsicle sticks so that they match. If you make sure the popsicle sticks line up like this, because that way when you open it up, you'll also have them aligned like this. If you don't line them up right now and they're cockeyed, it may, if one's shorter than the other, you may find that it doesn't work as well. Okay. So now I am going to, but not going to try and open this yet. I'm going to set this aside with something heavy on it, maybe like something like that. And I'm going to let it dry for at least an hour or so until that glue, because that's a lot of glue on there, and that glue should be completely dry. Because if I open it now, I'm risking it coming unglued by putting pressure on the glue. And when it's all dried, you'll have something that looks like this that you can then open and fan. And believe me, these things work pretty darn well as a fan. They don't last forever because these are paper, of course, and they don't last if you get caught in the rain. But the good part is that if it gets damaged and 4th of July is over or something like that, you can always tear the paper off and print out a different kind of paper and make a fan out of that. Or you can take scrapbook paper, and if you cut scrapbook paper into 3 equal strips of 4 inches, scrapbook paper is 12 by 12, you can cut it into 3 strips of 4 inches wide, glue them together, and so you can make fans out of any scrapbook paper you like. So you can even go buy, you don't even have to have a printer, you can go buy 1 sheet of a 4th of July scrapbook paper. So I hope this has stirred up some creative juices for you and shown you what an easy, fun project this is and how this can be adapted to any time of the year, not just 4th of July. Thanks for watching another one of our craft videos from the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. I'm Cheryl. I'll see you next time. Bye.